Run it up, then run it back. Run it up, then run it back. Run it up, run it back. Run it up, then run it back. Yeah.
We made it to Friday, you guys. Sometimes you just never know. Look at us. Lou, wide-eyed, fresh. Chandler, me. And it's Friday. And we got a lot. We have a lot. We have Mychal Thompson on the show a little bit later, so that'll always be a good time to talk to him. But man, did we have a fun game last night, and it was very high intensity, very fun to watch, very entertaining, and I will take more of them. Warriors-Lakers, Curry with 37. They do beat the Lakers. What might be a playoff preview. Hello. Pajemski, guy you just saw, 28, 8, and 6. LeBron finishes with 33, 5, and 9. Luka off night, but Reeves, woo, there he is, 31 points in the end. If this was, in fact, a playoff preview, Chandler, what did that tell you about what we might see here in a few weeks?
That it would be awesome, that it would go 6 or 7 games, that both these teams are experienced, both these teams have a lot of weapons. The matchups would be, unbelievable. And I think it's a great matchup across the board. When you look at guys like Draymond Green and Jimmy Butler to be matched up with LeBron James, Steph Curry and Austin Reeves, and then Jimmy and Draymond, whoever's not guarding LeBron is guarding Luka. So it would be so fun. It would be so exciting. 2 legendary franchises in the first round. It would be an unbelievable treat. I still, after last night watching it, the Warriors look great, and it does look like a favorable matchup for them, but I wouldn't know who to pick just yet in this series. I think the Lakers are going to make adjustments. I think Luka is going to be better. He's not often he's going to go 0 for 6 from 3. He's got to start being a little bit more consistent. But, man, this would be – even the end of this game when it was like a 10-point game, guys are coming back. It felt like an all-star game. They're just dropping, hitting crazy threes, playing fast. It would be the series of the year for sure. It's just a shame it might be first round.
I think that's my biggest complaint, Lou, is like, if this is first round, I'm going to whine that it's the first round.
It'll be about. I haven't seen guys on the floor so much in a basketball game in so long, from Steph Curry hurting his tailbone, LeBron having a groin problem. Like, everybody was on the floor. This almost was a preview of what would it be like if these teams stay in that 4 and that 5 spot and have to play each other in that first round. Neither team was laying down. You got a lot of great production from a lot of different guys on both sides of the basketball for both basketball teams. It was an exciting basketball game to watch. And Chandler just said it. Luka's going to play better. He's going to, when the bright lights are on, Luka's going to be present. He's never going to have another game where he's not going to make a three-pointer in one of those games. He's going to get his reps up. But this is a great game to watch last night, highly entertaining, and a great sample size of what's to come if they stay in that spot.
You guys are just straight up jinxing Luka. Never going to happen again. Now it's definitely going to happen again, you guys. I don't know why you're doing that. By the way, if you look at the middle of the standings in the Western Conference, it's actually quite rude. Like, it's just jumbled up. It's a mess. And so now I'm wondering, I kind of want to ask this in a weird way. So hear me out. Lou, it's not going to be, do you avoid, do you try to get whoever. But if you're the Lakers, are you more excited to see Golden State? Or if you're Golden State, would you be more excited to see the Lakers?
I don't think either. I think they should. I think both of these teams should do everything at all costs to avoid each other for a first round matchup. If I'm the Lakers and I'm a half game out of third, I'm doing everything I can to string together the next few of these games to try to fight like hell and get Denver's spot in that third and get matched up with Memphis going into these playoffs. I do not want to see the Golden State Warriors and go through a grueling 7-game series that this would turn out to be. Then on the flip side, if I'm the Golden State Warriors, I don't want to see this team either. Even though that the winning percentages swings Golden State's way when it comes to the personal matchup with LeBron and just Steph Curry, but all other guys considered, this is going to be a battle on both sides. So after last night, if I'm both of these teams, everybody's ducking for the first round.
Yeah, and by the way, like pick your poison, right? You get the 3rd seed, great. You pass Denver, and then what? You get rewarded with Anthony Edwards and the Minnesota Timberwolves. Like there isn't really a right answer here. I think once we get closer to 1 or 2 games left, and then you can maybe properly rest, for one of those games to kind of see what happens. Maybe not try as hard to win a game to try and get the favorable matchup you want. But there's not really a right answer here. The West is so stacked, and I love a season like this that comes down to the wire. You don't know who you're playing. The East is pretty much set right outside the play-in. Might shuffle around a little bit, but you pretty much know. This, you could go from home court to the play-in within the next week and a half, which is awesome. And it makes for a full season of just intensity and great basketball. And you're going to see some playoff atmosphere, some playoff games the last 2 weeks of the season going into it just to try and get these matchups. So it's crazy, but there's not really a right answer. If I had to pick, yeah, I don't want to play. If I'm the Lakers and I'm the Warriors, I don't want to play each other first round. These teams are both good. These teams have literally turned themselves from the beginning of the season to now contenders. And it'd be a shame if they play the first round, but like I said, it'd be special.
Is it the greatest first round series that we've seen in a while? I mean, I can't think of a better possible in recent years anyways.
I mean, I can't think of one between the two franchises and the star power. And yeah, I think it would be one of the best ever.
Man, I don't know if the league hates it or loves the idea of it being in the first round. I can't figure that out. You guys talked about LUKA. Not great. He said that the performance was unacceptable. When he plays like that, it makes it harder to win. So we got to figure it out. I mean, that's pretty obvious. But what do you do, Chandler, to figure it out? Like, why does a game like that happen?
Well, I think just in general, the Lakers need to play faster. They have some real athletes. They're the 20th fastest team in the NBA, which they're too good. They're too athletic. They're too good in transition to be getting bogged down and playing slow. And I think sometimes LUKA kind of gets a little stagnant when they're in the half court like that. When he's out free flowing, early pick and rolls, lob threats at the rim, finding guys with his vision is what he does best. They're not doing that as much as they should. Then they get caught in the half court, they slow down, they're turning the ball over, and they're way less efficient. So when you see clips like this, when they get out, they can run, they find their matchups, they get early pick and roll, they get switches, then they get downhill on guys, is when this offense is the best. And again, 0 for 6 is, I don't think that's going to happen very often. And it seems like he hasn't got his legs fully back yet. It seems like he's been struggling from the three since he's been a Laker. Honestly, he's had some big games, but he's had some poor shooting performances too. He's going to get better. He's going to continue to take better shots. But I think they just need to play faster. And I think that'll kind of solve a lot of their problems.
Yeah. And for me, for LUKA, he's got to focus on just trying to score the basketball. Like last night, if you watch his clips, he's doing a lot of foul baiting, like trying to get fouled or looking for guys' arms, rip throughs and all of that, jumping up in the air without control of his body, looking for fouls. That's like his first option. That has to be the second and third option of him whenever the offense breaks down. But your first look down the court, like you just said, when they're playing at an open pace, that should be your style of basketball game. You should fit right in. But when you're coming down in the half court, looking for fouls, worried about fouls as your first option, you're going to struggle on the offensive end. So if he can just go down, be himself, be aggressive on the offensive end, trying to score the basketball naturally, he'll be fine. He'll be just fine. I think last night he spent too much time with trying to draw fouls opposed to just going out and getting a bucket.
Is that like a snowball effect? Like for a guy like LUKA, if you're having an off night and then you start going with that strategy, which nobody wants to watch, by the way, do you just kind of get stuck in your own little like wake and you can't get out your own way, Lou? Because it feels like that's what happens, and they just got ugly.
Yeah, it like you just said, it snowballs. It's just one possession after another, and now don't think for a second if you miss a call, like if you don't get one. Now you're making it a point to try to get one back. You know, there was a point in the game where Steph Curry got a call where they felt like he was kicking his leg out for the next 2 or 3 possessions. LUKA was on a mission to get 3 free throws out of the next possession, after the next possession, after the next possession, eventually getting it. So those are games inside of the games. But again, when you're not being efficient, you want to just go score the basketball. You don't want to get into these games inside the games where the referees, or like I said, where you're worried about foul baiting. Just go out there and score the basketball and be the natural scorer that you are.
Guys, are you ready for it? I didn't want to have to do this today, but we got to go to hot headlines. And I cannot believe we're having this conversation again. But let's start with the good. Ja Morant, last night, 30 points, including the game winner, time expiring. So the Grizzlies beat the Heat. They needed this. Was a big win for them because they had dropped their previous 4. This is also on the same day where earlier in the day, the NBA issued a warning to he and Buddy Hield about the gun gesture from the other night against the Warriors. Despite all that, he does what appears to be the exact same thing last night, and now he's responded saying, you know, I've been a villain for 2 years. Frankly, I don't care anymore. Lou, your first reactions to seeing this last night?
My first reaction is, if he don't care, why should I care? You know, he was warned. He was told about this. Obviously, You know, we know the history of why this is an issue. Ja Morant knows the reason why this is an issue, and you know he continues to do it. And so at this point, you know, whatever comes his way is gonna be his. You know, he earned it and he deserved it. But what I will say about the gun gesture, if you're gonna warn guys or suspend guys or fine them for doing the gesture, just ban it league wide. Don't make it a special thing for Ja Morant. Like, we understand that when it comes to gun gestures, he has a special circumstance. But if it's something that you deem as not beneficial to the game, or something that the fans or media won't understand as a celebration for shooting the basketball, then ban it league wide. Like, don't just make it a Ja Morant thing. But on the flip side of that coin, he just got to be self-aware. I said that a couple of days ago. He got to be self-aware, but he just said it. He is aware of what's going on, and he doesn't care. He wants to be the villain. He wants to play the villain card, so he's going to get everything that comes with being a villain. So it is what it is.
Yeah, where I'm confused is he's been a villain for 2 years. This is all your fault, bro. You did this all yourself. This is all self-inflicted. Everybody loved Ja Morant. A lot of people still do love Ja Morant. He is one of the most fun, exciting, athletic, must-see players in the NBA. So this has nothing to do with people disliking his game, his talent, his production. He's awesome on the basketball court. It's things like this that just show a level of disrespect and disregard to the NBA's wishes of not doing it, of level of immaturity and just zero growth as a professional NBA player that's a role model for millions and millions of kids. It's just I don't get it. It's sad. It's disappointing. And again, this is a dude that he's on a slippery slope, man. This guy has endorsements, millions of dollars. At this point, it's not about money. It's not about, you can't do anything to this dude to make him stop. Clearly, it's sad. Like, I don't know anything else that, like, because he's so good at basketball, but now it's just about ruining his image, his likeliness, his legacy. Again, this has nothing to do with money or talent. He's got a lot of both of those. It's just eventually these endorsements are going to part ways, and he's going to lose his shoe, and he's going to just kind of ruin his image, the little image he has left of him. So again, it's such a small thing. It's if Mike Conley did this right now, we're not talking about, who cares? You make a shot, you got a gun, you got a ratchet. That's what NBA players say or do after celebration. It's just being completely tone deaf and just respectful to the circumstances and the NBA's wishes. It's crazy to me.
EP, let me add to that. I'm around youth sports, man. 2-3 years ago, when Ja Morant's shoes first came out, shout out to the Decatur Blazers, shout out to Winners United AAU programs. Like, they were crazy about the Ja Morant shoes. Like, there was no other shoe that these kids wanted in the gym. Present day, they are literally saying out of their mouths, we cool on Ja Morant. We want the Sabrina Ionescu's. Like, those are the shoes that big change, right? So, like, it's literally trickling down to the youth sports. These kids are turning their back on Ja Morant. And so if he doesn't care about that type of thing, why should we? I understand if you want to wear the villain hat, by all means wear the villain hat. But Chandler just said it, bro. This was self-inflicted. And so this wasn't something that people levied upon you. Like, this was a mistake that you made, and then you made another one, and we're still here in this same space having this conversation. And you know, so again, he said he doesn't care. This is where he wants to be in his career. He's gonna accept the responsibility of what comes with that, the energy that surrounds it, and that's where we are in youth sports. Like you said, he's a role model. These kids are literally turning their back on Ja Morant, and so, hey man, make your bed.
I think what sucks about it is, like, you know, some people would feel the world sort of closing in. And by the way, we are so far removed from the initial gun incident. I don't even understand why this is rearing its head once again, but here we are. And so a lot of people would say, oh, you know what? Everyone's turning against me. Hold on. Let me take a moment to look into myself and see what's going on here. But he's doing that thing where you sort of lash out because you feel like everybody's against you, which again, wasn't that way. Everyone was in your favor and everyone loved you. And then you did something stupid. And that's kind of where we are. It's kind of crazy because Sam Amick was on this week, and the idea of moving Ja Morant comes up, right? And he said that is something that you should definitely keep your eye on over the summer. Off the court stuff we've talked about. We know that across the board his numbers are down pretty much everywhere. So do they move on from him, Lou? Do you see a world in which, I mean, they've already made some drastic changes in a week here. So do you think there's a world in which they try? And I know there are 3 years left on his deal and it's a lot of money, but if they can, do they?
Yeah, it feels like something is brewing under the surface. I don't know what's going on in Memphis, but just for Ja Morant, I feel like a change of scenery would be good for him, a different environment. I come from Memphis, Tennessee. I know what it's like to play there. I know what it's like to have the pressure of that type of city on your back and that energy. Like we're a violent city. It's no sugarcoating way around it. We are a violent city. We grit and grind. That's the environment in Memphis. And maybe he understands that and he's a part of it every day and it's affecting the way that he go about business. So maybe somewhere else with a fresh start will be beneficial to Ja Morant. You know, he's still an all-star level talent. Like he's having a down, he's down in a lot of categories, but I'll still put him on my basketball team and he'll still be a 1A, 1B type of talent on any team around the league. But doing it in Memphis at this point, it looks like there's a lot of turnover. There's a lot of chaos going on from the vantage point that I'm at. Maybe a change of scenery would be good for Ja Morant.
Yeah, and that's what's so disappointing is it's never really been about basketball. And yeah, his numbers are a little bit down this year, but I mean, still look at those. You wouldn't want your starting point guard putting up 23 and 7, but it's just beyond that with him. It does seem like something's going on, like Lou said, under the surface there where he's not happy and he's lashing out. And if I'm the Grizzlies, I do consider a serious look this summer to get off this dude because that's not my franchise player. That's someone just with blatant disregard to the situation at hand right now. That's not who I want to invest all this money in. If I can go and shop him to a Houston Rockets team with a bunch of assets, or if I can get back a bunch of players right now to pair with a Jaren Jackson, with a Desmond Bane, with a Gigi Jackson, with this young talent they got, the 2 rookies that are balling in Memphis. They got such good things going in Memphis right now. They got such positive vibes. They have a lot of talent. They just made a coaching change. You really want this distraction as the face of your franchise for the next 3 years? I wouldn't.
It is crazy. The timing is weird too, right? Like we didn't have anything, and then we get 2 gun gestures after Taylor Jenkins is out of town. It's all very odd and disappointing. So, in other disappointing news, stop me if you've heard this before. The Sixers and Joel Embiid are at odds. Yeah. So Shams reports that he's going to have arthroscopic surgery on the left knee. It would be his second in the last 14 months. Shams also said that there's been tension between he and the team, and the team wanted him to play to improve conditioning. Embiid believed this whole time he needed the surgery. That is just a really bad thing to disagree on, Chandler, but you've said it before the season even started. So is this enough to finally be sort of the final wedge and they try to move him?
Well, I think this is what's needed, and that's clear and that's obvious. This dude was not right. He wasn't healthy, and he needed to go under and get this fixed. Now, arthroscopic surgery, they didn't really give us details of what that is. If it's what I think it is, he's not going to be ready for the beginning of the season, and it is something that is going to take time to, to heal and to get 100%. But it's needed. That's the end of the story. Is this guy is an all-world talent. He was not healthy this year. He wasn't healthy this summer in the Olympics, and this is one of the proper steps moving forward that they had to do to try and salvage, the rest of his contract, the rest of his career. So I'm happy for him. I wish he would have done this 6 months ago when he needed it. But again, it's in the past now. This season was basically a wash. So if he can find a way, to work extremely hard this summer, diet, do all the right things, and be back as soon as he can next year, this team can be a threat. And this is exactly what he had to do to take the proper steps. So I know from experience, when you need a surgery, you go get a second opinion. I would get a third opinion. I'd come here to see Elatrosh. I'd go to New York to see Riley Williams. And usually I didn't have the team doctor do it because I almost wanted a balance. I wanted a different of opinion there, to have them just not know every single thing about my medical, especially a guy like Joel, what he's been through. So it's normal to go and see this. It's normal to kind of butt heads on timing and who you're going to do the surgery with, but this needed to happen and it did. So I'm glad on that aspect.
Lou, there's more, because Shams also reported Tyrese Maxey officially shut down for the season. And it was also confirmed by Rich Paul, his agent, which all of this apparently was news to head coach Nick Nurse. Take a listen.
Well, first of all, he's just out for this evening, right? That's, again, I think we talked about, he had to work out. He did have another workout. Again, I think I mentioned before, the first one didn't go that great. He had another one. He did receive more imaging as well, but our medicals just told me he's out for tonight.
Okay. So just for clarification, that report is wrong, is inaccurate?
I don't know. I'm just telling you what they told me, that he's out for this evening.
Oof. Ooh, Lou, that hurt. You know Nick Nurse when he finds that he's not happy. This is such a circus. Like, what has gone wrong here?
I don't know. If I'm Nick Nurse, that's a big red flag. If I'm not privy to information about the roster I'm allowed to put out on the floor at this time and how I plan and go game plan, there's a major disconnection between your head coach and your front office. That's what it looks like to me, especially a caliber guy of Tyrese Maxey. You should know if he's going to be available to play or not. So Nick Nurse going into their press conference thinking that he's just out for one game when being ruled out for the rest of the season, it's a big red balloon for Nick Nurse. If I'm him, I'm pretty much realizing that I'm a sitting duck at this point, unfortunately. But there's a big time disconnection between the top and what's going on down in the locker rooms, man. And so if I'm him, I'm feeling a way about this for sure today.
Eesh. My buddy said he saw Taylor Jenkins yesterday in Philly too, looking at houses.
Good delivery.
No, I'm just kidding, but the level of communication is concerning here. Obviously, you're just going to put your head coach, that's the head of this whole situation, and kind of been taking bullets left and right for how the season has went, and then you can't even give him the correct info and just kind of go throw him out there. This isn't it. This isn't right. And then again, maybe this was just a misunderstanding at first, or maybe he didn't, check his phone. But I mean, come on, Daryl Morey's got to call him into his office and get on the same page.
Chandler. Come on.
You know what? Because there's a PR person standing there.
As a check your phone. The PR.
No, that's what I'm saying. Like Daryl Morey's got to call him. He's got to call him in the office before and be like, "Listen, Tyrese is out for this." Like, you got to be on the same page before you just throw him out there to the Lions.
But wouldn't Daryl Morey and Nick Nurse, correct me if I'm wrong, are Daryl Morey and Nick Nurse on one boat, the Stars are on another boat, and then the team's one? So I would think that, does that mean Daryl Morey doesn't know? Because how does that all work? Like, who's not telling who in this case? If Rich Paul's out there telling people publicly, how do they not know? Is what I'm trying to figure out.
Listen, my read on it is this: if Nick Nurse didn't know that going up into that podium, he's probably not going to be back next season. That's the reality of it. Like, this is somebody that we feel like we don't have to funnel information through at this point. We have a plan, and this is the way that we're going about it. Or it literally can be the worst case scenario, or it can be as simple as somebody dropped the ball and communicating. It also can be that simple as well. But knowing how this business works, these type of things don't slip through the cracks. So him not knowing that, he's probably a lame duck coach, unfortunately.
And he's pissed. Like, this is a bad look. This is embarrassing. Like, this dude's got years of service. Like, this is a mistake that shouldn't happen. Like, so this is the type of thing, you can't fire me, I quit. If you're gonna treat me like this.
Okay, so then so we got one down for he's not coming back. What about Daryl Morey?
By the way, was my acting that bad? You didn't just buy for a second that Taylor Jenkins was in?
Not this time. No. It's all right. Every day is not an Oscar winning.
Get back in the lab, bro. Get back in the lab.
Just a little more work on that. All right, we got to, you know what? Scratch that. Don't tell me anything about Daryl Morey. We're going to take a quick break because Mychal Thompson is on the other side. Yes, we'll be right back.
Run it back, run it up, run it back.
Let me get a little more. I'm going all the way up. Everything I do, man, need to be major. Let me get.
Great shot by Mychal Thompson.
Can I get a little more?
12 years in the league, two-time champ. Now you catch him calling Lakers games. Mychal Thompson, we appreciate you joining us today. How are you doing?
I'm doing good. Good to talk to you guys.
I love this. Look, we mentioned the fact you're a two-time champ, and you've been doing these Lakers games. Shout out to John Ireland for me. But what's crazy is that a lot of folks know you as KLAY and Trace's dad, which I always find hilarious. So professional family, athletes across the board. Who's the best one?
The best athlete?
Yeah,
my boys argue about this all the time about who's the best athlete in our family, and it comes down to their mother. Their mother's the best athlete.
Oh,
okay.
Wow.
Okay.
Michelle, she was in high school, she was a pentathlete. You guys know what that is? No, a heptathlete.
Yeah.
You know what that is, right?
Yep.
The heptathlete, the ladies who run 8 different events. So she was a hurdler, long jumper. Then in college, she was a volleyball player. She could dunk a tennis ball at 5'9". So, and she can, and her age, I won't tell you what her age is, but she can still do handstands and backflips at her age right now.
Okay, well,
she is the best
Michelle
athlete.
just won.
Right.
We changed the
And
question next time.
here we are thinking Clay's awesome for being able to shoot. Well, she's doing all
So
that.
you're doing everything. By the way, was there a moment? Do you remember the moment when KLAY and you're out there and there's a basketball involved, and all of a sudden you're like, oh, okay, no, he's got it.
Yeah, Michelle, that's a great question. I remember the exact moment. My wife looked at me like I was crazy. And you guys will probably think I'm crazy too. You guys will think I'm the next LeVar Ball or Earl Woods saying this. But I distinctly remember, and I always thought all my boys would be an athlete, but in KLAY specifically, he was at a basketball game around 9, 10 years old. And he was a point guard. He was running everything. He was knocking down threes from NBA range at that age. And I was filming it on the old camcorders. You guys remember the old Sony camcorders. And my wife was sitting next to me in this little sort of small JV high school gym. And I told her, I said, that boy's going to be in the league someday and could be a Hall of Famer. She looked at me like I was crazy. She told me, I remember what she said, I just wanted to be a good boy and a good student. I don't care about that stuff. Yeah.
And here we are. Here we are.
Michael.
By the way, was there one-on-one in y'all's day? Like, did that happen? And did he take you at some point?
Oh, yeah. I definitely played one-on-one against all my sons. And with KLAY and Mychal, the basketball players specifically, by the time they turned 14, I couldn't beat them anymore because that time they were starting to get a little strong, a little bigger. I just couldn't back them down and just, score in the post like I'm KAREEM ABDUL-JABARR or something. So I actually had to guard them when I missed. And by the time they were 14, I couldn't stay with them anymore.
Amazing.
Michael, I gotta tell you, I was in KLAY's same draft class, and I was actually in his workout in Golden State. And I remember I had such a good workout, and my buddies texted me like, "Oh, who was in the workout?" And I was like, "As good as I played, I promise you, they're gonna draft this dude, KLAY Thompson, because he bust my ass. He couldn't miss. It was the best workout I've ever seen in my life." And then they go and draft him. So I just want to tell you that this dude was so cold in his workout, and man, I knew right away that they were taking him.
Yeah, that's amazing, Chandler, because you know how those workouts go. So everybody's observing it, and everybody has an opinion on different players. And every time KLAY would go to all these workouts, like the top 10 teams in the draft would bring him in, including Charlotte, Sacramento, New York, and Minnesota. They all worked out KLAY. They all liked him. Wayne Cooper at the time was the assistant GM at Sacramento. He begged them to draft KLAY over Jimmy Fredette, but the owners overruled him, and they picked Jimmy Fredette.
Oh, no.
Charlotte, he worked out in front of Michael Jordan in Charlotte. They had 2 picks in the top 10. And I said, how'd you do? He said, oh, man, I played great. Michael Jordan really liked me. I said, well, maybe you'll play for Jordan. But, of course, they took Kemba Walker and Bismack Biyombo over him. So, and then I was the good friends with the GM at the Minnesota Wolves at the time, David Kahn. We were tennis buddies. We were tennis partners playing up in Portland because he worked for the Portland paper up there. So we played tennis all the time. And I remember talking to David. I said, David, you got the 2nd pick in the draft. You got Ricky Rubio. You got Kevin Love. KLAY and Kevin grew up together in Lake Oswego. They played Little League Baseball together. They played basketball together and youth sports. I say, draft KLAY, man, because him and Kevin are best friends. Kevin used to hang out at our house all the time on the weekends. So they know each other. And you have Ricky Rubio. You need a shooting guard to go along with Kevin Love and Ricky Rubio. It'd be a perfect fit. You know what David Kahn told me at the time?
Oh no.
He's not a first-round pick.
Oh wow. Well, he was wrong, and it looks like everything worked out anyway. So
yeah,
everyone was wrong.
yeah. So there's that. I want to talk a little Lakers with you. A few weeks ago, you tweeted that you felt like that seeding didn't matter to the Lakers, and they were the team to beat in the West. This thing changes by the day. Do you still stand on that? Do you still feel that way for the Lakers, even after last night's loss, which was an incredible game, by the way?
But yeah, I still feel the Lakers can get all the way to the finals and play the Cleveland or Boston, or get to the West Finals, of course. But last night was the worst loss of the season for me. My partner, John Ireland, said, worst loss of the season because we've lost to Charlotte, some other teams. I said, yes, all those losses are bad, Chandler, as you know, but there are some games that are special, that are different. And last night was one of those games. You're fighting for playoff seeding. You got the Warriors in your building. This game is hyped up beyond every other game during the season, hottest ticket of the year, and you come out and lay an egg like you did last night, just completely got outplayed. To me, that was the most disappointing loss of the year.
And after last night, do you feel like the Lakers should try to avoid Golden State in the first round or no?
No, man, you can't think that way. Chandler, you know, as a player, you can't be scared of anybody. You can't be trying to manipulate the standings and worried about this or that. No, you got to have confidence in yourself. You got to say, bleep those guys. We don't care who they are. We're going to go win. If you play scared, you might as well don't even play in the playoffs.
Yeah. I hear you on that. And so now even after a loss like that, what is the Lakers' actual ceiling this season? Realistically, are they title contenders, or is there a favorable matchups for them? What's your take on what they can actually do this postseason?
Favorable matchups, I don't care about that. They've had some good success against Minnesota, against Denver, Oklahoma City. We really haven't seen them yet, so it doesn't matter to me about the matchups. When you bring in LUKA Doncic, when you have LUKA and LeBron on your team, Chandler, Michelle, guys, it's championship or bust. I mean, come on, just getting to the playoffs and you got LUKA and LeBron on your team and a solid three like Austin Reeves and a good bunch of supporting players around you. No, you better win the title or else it's a major disappointment. The Lakers don't just play to make the playoffs. They're here to win the championship, and that's why they made that trade for LUKA.
Yeah, there's high expectations when you do that. So you've seen LUKA up close now for a while. What would you say the most impressive part of his game is?
Well, how he plays at his own pace, Chandler. You can't hurry him up. You can't rush him or make him play fast. He just plays at his own pace, and of course his court vision. I think he probably has the second best court vision in the game next to Jokic. And you have guys like him and LeBron on your team. You have two great playmakers who can get people involved. That's why last night's game was so disappointing, because their offense just bogged down and they just couldn't solve the Warrior defense. And that's why it was so disappointing to me. But his court vision is just some of the best that's ever been in the game.
Are you surprised? I'm sorry. Are you surprised at how seamless LUKA and LeBron has been paired this year and the way that they've been playing?
No, not at all. When you have great players like that with high basketball IQs, they can adjust and adapt to any situation and are with any teammates. And any teammates will adapt to them because they make the game so easy for their teammates. So have a guy like LUKA come in and fit in seamlessly, that's expected for a player of his caliber, at his level.
And Michael, I was one of the people, I was like, man, this is a tough job for JJ Redick to take, first-year head coach, la land, like high expectations. Do you think he should be getting more consideration for Coach of the Year, or is that, Atkinson, JB Bickerstaff, the job they've done is slightly more impressive?
Yeah, JJ will get some consideration, small consideration, but the job that JB and Atkinson have done, they definitely are ahead. And also Dagno in Oklahoma City, don't forget about him, my goodness. So those three guys have done such a great job that other coaches are going to get lost in their dust. But JJ's definitely done an excellent job with the Lakers this year, and doesn't surprise me. He's always been a confident kind of guy who's always been confident in himself, always had a high basketball IQ. So him going right from the broadcast booth to the coaching level, someone like Pat Riley did and other coaches have done, doesn't surprise me that he's having this kind of success at all.
Yeah, and long term, do you think he's the best fit for a LUKA to stay there and retire, be a Laker for a long, long time?
Oh yeah, for the next 10 years, I can see these two guys paired up. JJ's young, just getting started. LUKA is only 26, and the way he plays the game, he can play till he's 40 at this high level because he plays below the rim. So those two guys are going to have a long-standing relationship here, and as they should be, because they seem to really gel together well.
That's what Dallas does, Michael, though. Be careful. Dallas got a little blindsided with that move too.
Yeah, that's true. But the Lakers really appreciate a face of the franchise like LUKA. He's so young. He's so fan-friendly. He's so nice to everybody. And, of course, he produces on the court. So he's tailor-made for a star-driven city like Los Angeles because he has such a great personality. He embraces everything that goes along with being the face of the franchise. So he's a perfect fit here in LA. So you're right. trades can happen. Anybody can get traded. If KAREEM ABDUL-JABARR can get traded, anybody can get traded, of course. So, but I expect Luka to be here for the next 10 years. I'd be surprised if he isn't. Of course, people in Dallas were saying the same thing, like you said.
I mean, nothing can be shocking anymore. Michael, I don't want to give oxygen to like the actual conversation that went down, but I do want your perspective. The night that LeBron confronted Stephen A, because it's just not something you see. We see hugging it out. We see all that kind of, you know, seeing celebrities, all that. But to have like a confrontation like that, what did you think when you saw that? Or did you even realize what was happening?
I didn't realize it was happening at the time. I saw Stephen A. Smith sitting courtside. And of course, during the game, you're looking around, you're doing other things, especially during timeouts during the game. So I didn't understand. I didn't really see LeBron and Stephen A. having a conversation or a one-way conversation during the timeout. But what LeBron did when he confronted or approached Stephen A., I can't blame him. He's a father. And I think LeBron got upset because maybe he thought Stephen A. was questioning his judgments as a father. And that would upset anybody or any mother of anybody who's questioning your parental situations or guidance or abilities. So I think that's what he was mostly upset about. And I can't blame him for that.
Yeah. Parenting questions.
Michael, we haven't had you on since obviously the LUKA trade, and that was such a big splash. And a big reason why KLAY wanted to go to Dallas also was to play with LUKA. How shocked was he? Did anyone in that locker room see this coming? I know it was like happened in very discreet way. Like, how shocked was KLAY when the trade went through?
Like everybody else, shocked and surprised. But I told him, listen, you're losing a great player like LUKA, but don't forget who you got coming into Dallas. Anthony Davis, to me, the second best big man in the game, who can dominate on both ends, who can get you 40, 20 in the game. And I told KLAY, I said, listen, yes, you're losing LUKA. This is when Kyrie is healthy, of course. But with the addition of Anthony Davis and Max Christie, who's an excellent wing player and a good defender who can shoot, I said, you guys are probably going to be even better because you got with Davis, Lively, and Gafford, you got the best rim protection in the game. You've got a guy who can get you 40 and 20 and 4 or 5 blocks during the playoffs when you're going to really need him and things really count. So, yes, losing LUKA's a disappointment, but you didn't trade him for some backup center or some role player. You're getting yourself a legitimate all-NBA big man who's only 32 and got 4 or 5 prime years left. So even though he was disappointed to lose LUKA because he liked him personally and as a teammate, but I say, man, just appreciate Anthony Davis because he's going to make your job, your life a lot easier, having that big guy to bail you out of situations.
Preach, Michael. I feel like AD actually gets like no love when we talk about this trade at all. It feels very disrespectful.
You know what it is, Michelle, because they all got hurt and he missed 18 games, so people forgot how great he is.
I know. It's and then you get to see him the other night and you're like, oh, that's right. That's what he can do.
Right.
Before KLAY chose the Mavs, we were all trying to guess like, well, he's a boat guy and he needs a body of water. Like, were you trying to recruit him to come and be a Laker and just be around you and have the perfect situation? Was that a conversation?
Of course. Are you kidding me? We were talking about how the perfect situation was to finish his career for the team that he admired and rooted for growing up because he was a Kobe guy, like everybody his age at the time. And he and Kobe used to work out together. He loved the Lakers. We used to talk about if he couldn't be a Warrior, wouldn't it be great to finish his career with the Lakers? Like you said, Michelle, he's got his boat right there in Marina Del Rey. His house is actually 5 or 10 minutes away from the practice facility in Hermosa Beach. So everything was perfect for him to finish his career here. His family's here. His nephew and niece are here. He could see them grow up for the next few years together. They can come to his games. So I thought it was the perfect situation for him to finish his career here. And it sounded like he was leaning that way. And then when we hung up the phone, and then the next thing I knew, he was going to talk to LUKA and Kyrie. He's a good friend of Kyrie's. And they convinced him to come to Dallas over here. But I always thought that this would be a perfect fit for him, even though I'm sure things will work out in Dallas, but I just thought this would be a perfect place for him to finish his career.
Wow. Absolutely. Michael, I want to ask you about this GOAT conversation that we continue to have. You know, usually when that conversation comes up, it's Michael Jordan, LeBron James, Kobe Bryant, in whatever order. But we never hear KAREEM in that conversation. 6 NBA titles, 6 MVP awards. Why do you think KAREEM's never a part of that conversation?
Because you guys are too young. You don't guys remember KAREEM. You know, you guys think that people like you youngins, you youngsters think the NBA started when ESPN came on board, when Michael Jordan joined the league. But you're right. To me, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar is the greatest player ever. He's the greatest high school player ever. He's the greatest college player ever by far. And when you look at his resume in the NBA, 6 MVPs, 5 MVP finals MVPs. So to me, he's the greatest ever. And if you say Jordan's the greatest, you say LeBron, even Kobe, you're not a nut. You're not crazy to think that way, of course. But to me, yeah, Kareem is way often overlooked. And when the GOAT conversation comes up, you're right. It's only LeBron and Michael Jordan, and Kareem's never mentioned. Or even Will Chamberlain. Why isn't Will Chamberlain mentioned? He only has every record in the record book.
I don't know, Lou. Why isn't he?
because like I said, people, I guess we're aging out. A bunch of us old timers are dying off. So there's not many of us left to really defend or speak up for Kareem and Wilt. You got all these everybody's got a podcast now, and everybody's a talking head, and everybody seems to be in their 20s, 30s, and 40s, and they just remember Michael Jordan and LeBron and forget that basketball was played long before those guys came into the league. And even Bill Russell. Why isn't Bill Russell ever mentioned? Only 11 championships in 13 years. You think anybody's ever going to approach that? No.
No.
It's crazy.
Nope.
Listen, I have to agree with you. And we talk about, not respecting the past, but Pat Riley was your coach during your title runs. What was it like playing for Pat Riley at that time?
Tough, man. I tell you, let's say Navy SEALs couldn't handle law practices. That's how tough they were. Man, he was tough. He was demanding. He was fair, but Pat Riley doesn't suffer fools. He only wanted real men on his team, guys who took personal responsibility, guys who were always in shape, guys who held themselves accountable. So that's the kind of coach or players that Pat Riley and Jerry West wanted on their team. So there were going to be no knuckleheads tolerated during the Showtime era because he was demanding, and he also has 2 demanding lieutenants, and Kareem and Magic Johnson. So, but Pat Riley was always thoroughly prepared, always had, and he always, I can never understand how, coaches give you the pregame speech, Chandler, before every game. And Rouse, over 82 games, all the pregame speeches were different. He was so smart and so well-read and so book smart and so knowledgeable about history. He'd always equate basketball with some historical event. That's how introspective he was, man. He was just a really smart guy, but a good guy to play for because he treated you fairly, even though he was demanding.
All right, Michael, this has been awesome. We appreciate it. Lou Chandler and I, always good to have a good conversation. And you're right. We're ignorant and we don't watch enough film. And that's on us. Exactly. We'll be better next time.
And Michelle, I always say you chose the wrong career path in broadcasting. You should have started a musical group. You know why?
Why?
You could have called them the Beatles. Think about it. Think about that.
Get out of here, Michael. We'll talk soon. Good luck the rest of the way, by the way. It's going to be a good one. We'll be right back.
Okay.
Got the news. Carmelo Anthony heading to the Hall of Fame. Duh. Rest of the class going to be revealed Saturday. But when we look back, Lou, do you think Melo got the flowers he deserved during his actual active time?
During his actual time, it's tough to say because, it was so many different conversations and narratives being built around his name at that time that it kind of got cloudy. What I'm happy to see is once he did finish the game, he got the ultimate flowers, and that came from his peers. That came from the people that competed alongside of him and people that competed against him. And that's the biggest compliment that you can get as a player when you're out of the game is the respect and the admiration from your peers and from the people that you shared the court with for so many years. So during his tenure, with all of the controversy around him in Denver, and then him being able to go to New York for a restart, to have everything that he was doing in New York. And then, he goes to OKC, and then you have they want me to come off the bench moment. Like, so many different things always followed Carmelo Anthony, but all in all, one of the greatest basketball players of all time. The talent, the things that he did on the court always outweighed the conversations that people tried to put around Carmelo Anthony. So for me, he did receive his flowers because every basketball player that's played against or with him has respected him in the highest fashion. So him being elected to the Basketball Hall of Fame, you see the way that he's getting celebrated online, on social media, on television, and I'm sure he's feeling it in person. It's much deserved, well deserved, and that's the best way that you can receive your flowers is from your peers. So I agree. I think so, yes.
Yeah, and I think when players are lucky to play as long as him, I think the new generation, guys that see him towards the end of their career, don't understand and don't realize how good this dude was for so many years. And this is well deserved. He's one of the original, just big bodied guards, big pick and pop, can handle the ball, unbelievable mid range, size you up. I mean, I remember I would watch film of Melo, not that I ever did it or even came close to doing it, but just watching him fix you up in the post and jab you and being able to get his shot off against whoever was guarding him. The dude was unbelievable. If you ask Hooper that played in the league, who's one of the toughest guards they had during that time, a lot of them would say Carmelo Anthony. He was an absolute bucket. He was unbelievable his freshman year at Syracuse, by the way, where he led them to achieve probably the most impressive freshman campaigns ever. You know, Cooper Flag has a chance to do something similar, but this dude's unbelievable. He's also just the greatest, coolest dude, like to hang with, to kick it with. He deserves this, and I'm so happy they didn't waste any time and gave it to him because he is an absolute legend.
All right, you got to pick one, Chandler. You first. Denver Melo or New York Melo?
I got to go Knicks. I think it was just longer. 16 All-Star, 2-time All-NBA, and scoring champ. You know how hard it is to lead the league in scoring. And those Knicks teams were so much fun. Him, you know, JR, Tyson, like those guys, they were so good. So I would take New York Knicks and just doing it in Madison Square Garden. This is where his popularity, his fame really took it to the next level. And he was great in both, but to me, Carmelo's a Knick.
Fair. What about you?
And I'm the opposite. I think the Denver Nuggets laid the foundation for his career. Like the things that he was able to do in Denver was nothing short of outstanding. Like even to this day, there's still somewhat of a debate about who should they share the 15 when Jokic retires. Like there's still a campaign for him to have his 15 retired with the Denver Nuggets. You know, I hadn't heard that about the 7 in New York as of yet, but that should tell you how big of an impact that he had. And from my personal experience, the only game that I can really reference being physically worried and scared to play in was the first time that I played against Carmelo Anthony when they traded for Allen Iverson. Having both of them guys in a Denver Nuggets uniform, I was like, I don't know how we're going to go about this game. Like those were two guys that really put fear in my heart in my third year as a pro, you know, so that to me is what stands out. By the time he was with the New York Knicks, I was a household name as well, so I felt more confidence than competing against him. But being a young puppy in the league, seeing Carmelo Anthony in that baby blue and gold and that yellow, it was a scary sight to see. And I was one of the Melo's biggest fans. I had a throwback Carmelo Anthony Syracuse jersey. I had his first pair of shoes, the Jordans that came out. Like, there was no bigger fan of Carmelo Anthony than Lou Will at that time. And so when I actually had the first few opportunities to compete against him, my eyes were this big and I was physically scared.
Physically scared. All right, we're going to take a quick break. Something on the other side that I think we're going to like. We'll be back.
Running back.
What is it going to be? Oh, no. I didn't know what it was going to be. Chandler.
This picture makes me look like I didn't want any of the smoke, and I don't like it. We gotta show the video. I think I was at the free throw line. He tried to get over my back.
You look like you're about to do something with your right hand, like something.
I'm a lover, not a fighter.
San Antonio this weekend.
Sorry, Hall of Fame.
They're running back, yeah.